Looking for a way to cope, all alone in a castle by yourself, knowing you were made to rule, looking like a royal fool. If you only had someone to help, knowing you were made to rule. We got to clean these rodents out. There ain't no way we're gonna let them run this place. I'll show them what this king's about. It won't be long before we get them on the run. Here's what I propose we do. I'm gonna count on you, give you all the cheese that you could ever want. If you wanna be your best, put your trap up to the test. Buy some super brie and watch the suckers come. Oh, yeah. We got to clean these rodents out. There ain't no way we're gonna let them run this place. I'll show them what this king's about. It won't be long before we get them on the run. We got to clean these rodents out. There ain't no way we're gonna let them run this place. Yeah, I'll show them what this king's about. It won't be long before we get them on the run. Have you ever gave up hope, looking for a way to cope, all alone in a castle by yourself? Whoa, we got to clean these rodents out. There ain't no way we're gonna let them run this place. I'll show them what this king's about. It won't be long before we get them on the run. We got to clean these rodents out. There ain't no way we're gonna let them run this place. I'll show them what this king's about. It won't be long before we get them on the run. We got to clean these rodents out. There ain't no way we're gonna let them run this place. I'll show them what this king's about. It won't be long before we get them on the run. Somebody help me now.
Hello, good morning, Mouse Hunters. Welcome to Feedback Friday, February 24th, 2017. How's everybody in the chat doing this morning? I hope everyone's doing well. As a few people pointed out, hello, hello. using new streaming software today, so hopefully this goes all right. Still getting the hang of using this a little bit. But I was having some problems with the old free version of software that I was using, so I upgraded to something a little nicer. Hopefully this works works better than before. So today, we're going to kind of update you on some of the projects that we were talking about in previous Feedback Friday, including the 9th birthday event, which will start next week, as well as Fort Rock's Heart of the Meteor is a expansion with treasure maps for Fort Rocks. Bristle Woods Rift, which will be a Grand Duke location that we're working on to hopefully release in the summer. A couple feedback questions today. One about larger areas or larger adventures that involve multiple areas, what you think about them, so you can kind of start thinking about that when we get there. And finally, as we always do, we'll end with a trivia question from Larry. And if anyone in the chat gets the answer correct, Larry will have a reward link as well. So we'll get started with the birthday, a sneak peek at the birthday. And grain of salt, I always kind of start off this section that this is a lot of work in progress stuff, so as we flesh out ideas and play test, things often change. That said, the birthday's coming next week, so it's pretty well all wrapped up. But hopefully it comes out as we have it laid out now, but we'll see. So coming on Wednesday, March 1st is the 9th birthday event. The popular and sweet cupcake event will be returning with a 9th order celebrating Fort Rocks and a Feroma Rift. Those were the releases that occurred last year. The new order will require 12 cupcakes, similar to, I believe, the other two sort of last orders in the birthday all require 12 cupcakes. And will reward items including moon cheese, tower mana, energy charms, and more. And you can see a couple little teaser images, or even spoiler, because those are pretty big. There'll be a new trap, new base, a journal theme, which isn't pictured there, but there'll also be a journal theme turn as well. There'll be one new mouse will arrive at the birthday event, the Sprinkly Sweet Cupcake Mouse, and I think we had a bit of a debate in the office whether sprinkly was a word, but we are creating it as a word if it is not already. You'll be able to track the new mouse using Extra Sweet Cupcake Colby, and it will drop red, yellow, blue, green, and on occasion, a rainbow cupcake. A new adventure will be added to the adventure book with the cupcake event that rewards, as I said, a new base arcane trap and a journal theme as well. I think some people in the chat there had guessed that it was a arcane trap. You are correct. Comment from the chat, is that an acronym trap? Well, it's a new trap, but it is arcane. I can kind of see how it maybe looks a little bit like the acronym. It's candily looking. We're inventing other words. Finally, too, as a bit of a feedback question, we've been making an effort to better communicate when events start and end. And you can let me know in the chat if you've noticed that we've been scheduling Facebook events for when the various events start and end. I think we did it for the Valentine's was the first one we did, especially because it was such a short event. And we also created one for the birthday. So on our Facebook fan page, you can see an event that is for the MouseHunt birthday, and you can kind of say you're going. You'll get a nice little, serves as a nice little reminder that the birthday event is starting up. But what do you think? Do hunters in the chat there, do you like that idea of us using events as a way to communicate the start and the end times? Yeah, Ryan said he spotted it there. Yes, yep, love the idea. And you know what? We just had our first hiccup with me using new streaming software. I don't think this chat is the correct chat that's being displayed, so that's rather interesting. That has me mildly confused about what would have happened there. Well, maybe we'll just get rid of that chat. Let's get rid of that small chat. See you later. Sorry, chat. And maybe if somebody's watching this, if they are more savvy onto what maybe happened there, you can try to rescue those people that are in a different chat room. It was perhaps because through this you could make events, which was kind of neat. I tried scheduling an event for the stream, but perhaps I messed something up when I did that. Yeah, Eileen in the chat loves the event. Yeah, it's good to help you plan for maps. That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, Ryan has a suggestion in the chat to have an event for new permanent content releases. That could be interesting as well. I don't know if it fits the format of an event Facebook event as well, because it has a start date but not really an end date, but we could maybe phrase it as release date or launch celebration. So it's kind of the day of is a celebration of something new arriving. But I could see it also maybe confusing other people into thinking that the permanent area is a event when it's an actual permanent area for the game. Dave, it's the chat from YouTube. Okay, well, I'll look into that more after the stream and see perhaps what mistake I made there. Yeah, Facebook event for start and date of Toxic Spill. Well, Toxic Spill is still on the overhaul list, so we don't want to kind of add too much to it until we overhaul the area at some point. What is a permanent event is a question from the chat there. Exactly. We want to avoid that kind of confusion where there's events and they start and they go away, but there's permanent areas. So we wouldn't want people thinking that because we create a Facebook event for a new permanent area, just a normal release in the game, they would think that that is some sort of weird permanent event. All right, well, as I said, the birthday event will arrive next Wednesday. And I think some hunters as well in the chat notice it's a little bit of a change in routine for us. Normally we launch on Tuesdays. We're launching on a Wednesday just because it felt a little bit weird to start the birthday event before March, because our birthday is in March. So we wanted to wait at least until March 1st to start things off. So that's why it's on a Wednesday this time around. Jenneth in the chat is asking, will there be another spill during the egg hunt? Yes, I imagine we would, because there are some unique eggs that you can only collect from the toxic spill. So we will do a toxic spill during the spring egg hunt. Should we expect birthday tournaments? Yeah, Sandra's asking in the chat. I believe so. I think Franco had worked on some of those. How do we get canister rings? They are drops at the toxic spill. They are kind of uncommon though. Might be something that we tweak when we eventually overhaul the area. And Karen, 9 years Whippy celebration time. Yeah, it's been amazing. I never would have thought. Here we are 9 years later. The game is going to celebrate its 9th birthday. It's pretty awesome, and excited to reach 10 years as well. That'll be quite the milestones. Knock on wood, nothing explodes in the meantime, but it'll be fun for many years of mouse hunting to come. And Eileen was concerned that Franco is designing the tournament. So he's done quite a few tournaments before. It's usually his wheelhouse. That's kind of what he looks after as well. So we'll move over to the heart of the Meteor. And actually, while I'm doing that, perhaps I can try to get that chat to work. Let's find out, shall we? Bear with me here. I'm going to try to find... Because I thought it was kind of neat that hunters who are watching this recorded would be able to see the chat comments, especially on things. Oh dear, I made it much too large. Much too large. Let's make it 200 by 200. Much too small. Let's make it 250 by 250. All right. Oh, that is so big. That is too big. 250, there we go. Bear with me, I'm figuring out how to work some stuff. The font is definitely too large. Let's go 18-point font, sure. All right, let's give this a try. See what happens. No promises. We'll see if that works. So Heart of the Meteor is the next release we have lined up, and it will arrive on Wednesday, March 15th, is our plan anyway, if all goes according to plan. And it will arrive when the birthday event comes to an end. An expansion for Fort Rocks called Heart of the Meteor will be released on the same day, actually the exact same release that is going to close the birthday event will open up Heart of the Meteor. So the birthday will come to a close, and there'll just be immediately something new, a new challenge to take on as well. Hunters will track down 2 components by completing Fort Rocks treasure maps and then activate the item while in dawn to enter the Heart of the Meteor and face off against a new powerful adversary. So you'll be taking on treasure maps. Now you can solo the treasure maps as well. They have quite a few of the mice from Fort Rocks, but there won't be a need to form a treasure map team, but you'll certainly be able to speed things up if you work with friends to track down those 2 items by doing treasure maps. The rewards for Heart of the Meteor will include a new best-in-game law trap, if I can use that expression, generous points and gold for the mouse, as well as other item drops from the new mouse. The mouse will have a drop table, somewhat similar, kind of inspired by the existing Fort Rock's boss mouse, if I can think of the name. I think somebody in the chat will definitely remember the name. Monster of the Meteor, there it is. That's the name. Blanked on that. Still getting used to this chat here. Let me make that a little bigger. There we go. Larger chat. Cool. Yes, Monster of the Meteor. Thank you, Axel. That is the name of that mouse. What's the drop rate of the items? You know, off the top of my head, I don't know. The key items, they're going to be a little uncommon, so you're going to have to do a few maps to track one down. The components are also going to be tradable on the marketplace, so there's going to be 2 unique halves. So if you get 2 of one and none of the other, you could sell one on the marketplace, buy a different one, so there'd be kind of a tradable economic sort of standpoint. You'll also be managing other resources to build the cheese or craft the cheese to track down the mouse as well. Do we get multiple attempts at the Heart of the Meteor? Yes, you do. That said, do not run out of cheese, because once you use those items, they will be consumed, so you'll want to make sure you are well equipped to take it on. Is the drop rate of the trap 100%? Yes, I believe all you have to do is capture that mouse once and you will obtain the trap. I'm a little fuzzy on the details. Today, Jacob and Franco are playing through it. They've been kind of looking after that particular release. They've been in charge of it. But I think next week is when I'm going to get my first crack to sort of play through things and actually take a look as well. And I'll be a little more familiar with it as well. Does a key guarantee a catch? With the right strategy, yes. If you have enough of that cheese stockpile, that kind of works similar to other things in Fort Rocks, where the mouse is going to be getting weaker the more times you hunt it. So with enough cheese, you'll eventually get a 100% catch rate against the mouse, but you'll just want to be well prepared before you go in. Or if you're a risky hunter, you could go in with just a couple pieces, hope for the best, or perhaps you have an ultimate charm, and you can save quite a bit of a rare and powerful to craft cheese by just going in with a single piece and using an ultimate charm. Brian in the chat's asking, any new charms for that release? No new charms to capture that mouse. The cheese means crescent or moon. It'll be a new crafted cheese. I believe it will require dawn dust as well. You'll be crafting it out of dawn dust. Ava in the chat likes to live dangerously. Well, you can go in with one piece, see what happens. As I said, the Heart of the Meteor will arrive, hopefully, if all goes according to plan, Wednesday, March 15th, as part of the same update that closes down the 9th birthday event. So hopefully that all goes according to plan, and that Wednesday will come in, we'll close the birthday, and at the exact same moment, Heart of the Meteor will arrive as well. Bait Keep, Brian has a suggestion in the chat as well. Bait Keep will be quite useful for that particular challenge as well. They're hard to come by, but when you have a couple, there are some handy spots to use them. Does the mouse have guaranteed loot? I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe the trap is guaranteed, and there are other drops. I think that mouse will drop silver bolts as well as the droid birds as well, but those will not be guaranteed drops. They will be somewhat uncommon, similar to the Monster of the Meteor. But you have an interesting choice because you'll be using dawn dust. Do you use your dawn dust to buy silver bolts and buy the droid bird from the shop and have that guaranteed shot, or do you use it to craft some cheese and then try to get another mouse that's worth points and gold and you get another shot at that drop as well? Eileen has 155 bait keep. That's a lot of bait keep. Is the birthday event happening in a vacant lot or anywhere in the kingdom? It is happening at a specific spot, the special event location, and it will be called the birthday party zone. So you have to visit the party zone to complete the event. That said, the birthday event's kind of unique, wherein that there's tons of variety of mice there depending on the cupcake orders you have going. So you'll be capturing everything from rift mice to indigenous mice all the way down to them to the fungal cavern mice are there. So it's interesting. We'll move on to the Bristle Woods Rift. And this too has the wrong chat, so that's interesting. Let me fix that first. As I said, I'm using new streaming software, so I probably just don't quite know what I'm doing yet. I'll add one of these. No, see, that's the wrong one. All right, well, what was a good size? 300 by 3, no. Sure, let's add that. All right. Oh, no, too big. It's too big, Captain. What am I doing? What am I doing? All right, make it wider. That is too tall. Still too tall. Too short. See, because this was new, I tried to get this all sorted out last night. Actually, I was trying to make sure I had everything all organized because I hadn't used this software before. But it would appear that didn't quite work out as planned. Now, where's the font size? There it is. Yeah, let's go down 16-point font. Sure. Yeah, all right. Looks good to me. Bristle Woods Rift. Hey, Bristle Woods Rift. So I got the Bristle Woods Rift up here, and it's pretty early to go into too many details because we're still kind of in the prototyping phase. So over here I have a couple screenshots and an Escher painting, I believe, Escher painting, where we drew a little bit of inspiration from. We've completed our first basic prototype for the Bristle Woods Rift. Things are looking good so far. We've drawn inspiration from sort of impossible objects in rooms. You can kind of see that painting there. And that's sort of how we envision the inside of the Rift Acolyte Tower, and just an incredibly confusing place where all the rooms are interconnected and it's easy to get lost. We're tying in the Realm Ripper, where the Rift version of the Realm Ripper will be guarding the portals that let you exit a chamber in the Acolyte Tower and move on to the next one. So you'll be searching for Realm Rippers to open up portals, and kind of ties in nicely with how the Forbidden Grove worked. That's it, it's all in one location. So it's just sort of a nod to the theme, but not the exact same mechanic. Question, yeah, asking about the loot remaining. We're kind of playing around with loot mechanics where the more time you spend in one chamber, the mice are dropping loot and eventually they run out of loot. So you've sort of fully looted the room. You capture a Rift Realm Ripper and you move to the next chamber to collect more loot as well. So you'll be kind of hopping between chambers. Different chambers will have different mice, different items to find to accomplish the final goal of finding the Acolyte Chamber, making some Rift runic string cheese, and capturing the Acolyte mouse, the Rift version of the Acolyte. That sounds like the Labyrinth. Yeah, it has a little bit of similarity to the Labyrinth, but it feels quite different as you go through it, but it has sort of the idea of opening up doors and exploration. Similar to the Sunken City as well, you're kind of progressing forward and exploring different areas of the ocean floor. You'll be exploring this big, confusing Acolyte Tower to find all different chambers and which mice are in which chambers. What's the skeleton mouse doing there, Ryan asks. Well, it is a prototype, so used a lot of images from existing mice, so I'd imagine that would eventually be a Rift version of the skeleton that would appear, but just for prototyping purposes. You also notice, I think that hourglass is part of the nanny bot, I think. I think it's the timeout hourglass to build the nanny bot, which maybe not too many people have in their inventory, but using that as a placeholder image, because we're playing around with different themes that the Rift version of the Chrono mice would have in the tower. A lot of sort of time travel theme. No, I guess that's a bit of a stretch. Not really time travel theme, but Chrono Mouse's hourglass, we're having some fun with that. Not a Rift Chrono, please. Won't be quite as rare as the Chrono Mouse in the Acolyte realm. Plays a bigger role in this area, at least at the moment. Like I said, again, kind of grain of salt. We're still prototyping this. We've just kind of met to brainstorm. We got all together. We all played the prototype together. Kind of poked a few holes in it, thought, well, this isn't too fun, or this part's confusing, so I might want to tweak a few things here and there. So a lot may change, and like I said, we're aiming for May to release this in as sort of a spring-summer release, but if we might run into challenges or something along that line, so no guarantees, but that's our goal, and we'll keep you up to date as we go on Feedback Friday. Any new rift, trap, or base is a question from the chat. Kind of, again, haven't got too far along in this release to know for sure. That said, you did just get a brand new powerful rift trap in the Feroma Rift, so I don't think there'll be a more powerful trap to earn here. We might have more powerful rift charms to find here and some other rewards, but we're kind of still brainstorming that. Will the new Rift area mainly be arcane? No, it will be Rift. It will be exclusively Rift, as all areas in the Rift plane require Rift power, because they're all Rift mice. Mutated white mouse, please. Rift version. Sounds menacing. Looks like a law area. Alright. It's a very confusing law area to me, but... Make the fissure base a requirement if there's a new base. That's actually an interesting question for hunters in the chat. We were talking about that during our meeting after we play tested this prototype a little bit. How you're in the rift base, and you can upgrade the rift base into the fracture base, if I'm getting my names right here, or otherwise you can buy the fissure base, and the fissure base is not quite as good as the fracture base. Now, would you like to see that continue going forward? Where, now if you have the fracture base, there's a better rift base, but then there's that tier 2 if you didn't go to the living garden and get that original rift base. Or at some point, would you like to see them kind of even out? Where, maybe in the next rift location, there's a base that's better than the fracture, but you didn't need the original rift any longer. So your rift would have served you well through Baron and all the original rifts, and then you upgrade it to the fracture base, and you go through several rifts with the fracture, but then finally there's an upgrade sort of that will let you skip the living garden, but you'd have to trawl your way through all those rifts without that base. The fissure base is stronger than the fracture. All right, thanks KDM. I got those two names swapped. I did not get the rift base. I would hope that some base is available instead, having to grind all over again. That's what we're kind of aiming for as well, where the idea came up, where eventually maybe you get a base that is the best rift base, but you didn't need the rift base. However, it's in a higher level area, so if you choose to skip the rift base, there's value in getting the rift base because it's going to help you through all those rift locations to eventually get the best rift base. But if it's just not your cup of tea, you can kind of grind it out with a worse base and then eventually get another upgrade. Continuation definitely better. So some mixed feedback. Hunters going either way. So a rift base that's not a rift base then. Well, the actual rift base, the base that's called the rift base, you get it in the living garden because that's sort of the first hints that the rift exists as far as the storyline and the lore goes. And then when we get to the Bristle Woods Rift, you can get the fissure or the fracture base, and one of those requires that you own the rift base in order to purchase it, and that's the best base with a rift theme on it. The rift base. Thank you, Julia. Yes, the rift. Yeah, Ranger has a good point in the chat. In the Feroma Rift especially, you use the attuned energy base a lot as well, so you don't even get to sort of flex your fracture or your fissure. Okay, Karen likes the idea of continuing with the upgrades, just being rewarded for the effort that you put in earlier areas. Michael's saying everyone should have to get the original Rift base. It is a little easier to get now, there's new equipment, there's more powerful traps in the game now to help you go through the living garden. There's the living base as well that boosts your drop rate of petals when you use it, so it's not quite as daunting of a challenge as it once was, but now there's new, bigger, more daunting challenges ahead of it, so it kind of gets toned down a little bit as the years go by. All right, so some mixed feedback on that one. All right, I'll end with saying we're aiming for this new area to be for Grand Duke, Grand Duchess hunters. And like I said, we're aiming for around May. However, it's too early to go into too many details, so I'll just re-emphasize that as it does say May above me, but I put that approximate beside it because it's certainly not a guarantee of when it will arrive. So that brings us to feedback questions. I have two of them this week. if I can find them. Let's move to the feedback question. And actually, I think I only prepared one of them on the slide here, but the other one will be a little less formal. It's about large areas in the game that span multiple locations, or like large storylines and adventures. So think along the lines of the Tribal Isles, Labyrinth and Zocor, even the laboratory and the Mausoleum. Right? They kind of synergize where you're collecting potions in the laboratory so that you can use the cheese in the Mausoleum. Do you like that sort of area where it spans multiple locations? It's something we haven't done a lot of recently, or we've just kind of done it in very minor ways now. Would you like to see us return to that a little bit more? Or do you think it's just pure nostalgia of why you like the idea of those big sprawling locations, but because there's some downsides to it as well, right? Your friends aren't going to take you on hunts as much because you're not technically in the same location if the storyline spreads out across multiple. But a lot of positive feedback in the chat. Sure, yes, fun. Tribal Isles is fun as it is extensive. Yay. All right, well, does anyone not like the idea of that? Can you see the downsides of it, of your friends not bringing you on hunts? You sort of have to remember where you were in more than one location, so it's just a little bit more demanding on your, demands a little more mental energy, or you have to remember where you left off and memorize, I get loot A from here, loot B from here, and loot C from here. I know Giorgio the other day, I think he had something to do in the Tribal Isles. Maybe he was working on a map. And he's like, where do I get the stones again? He couldn't quite remember. And when it's fresh in your memory, it pops out like, yeah, it's what are you talking about? It's Dur Dunes, buddy. But after you've been hunting in many other locations, you can forget that. Michelle saying, the places I hunt, I have no friends. Yeah, how the Living Garden worked. That's another great example. The Living Garden is 3 locations, then each location is actually 2 locations. So it's like 6 locations for one adventure or storyline. Different HUDs for different areas help. Yeah, I think that's a big argument as well. I mean, one day it's on our to-do list, but we haven't been able to prioritize the areas. Adding sort of heads-up displays for the Tribal Isles would probably help tremendously in sort of just figuring out, okay, you go here for this, there for that. All right, so some positive feedback, not too much negative feedback. I'll kind of take that to the team as well, because we're brainstorming another area, the first Draconic area. Or not the first Draconic area, but the first Draconic area, and certainly in some time. And one of the ideas was to involve quite a few different locations, not to have it work like the Tribal Isles, but have a bit of a Tribal Isle feel to it. And that kind of felt neat because it's a Draconic area. Where you're going to have to travel around a region a little bit to collect different items and different mice. I kind of like that it's, especially in the Tribal Isles, like all the tribes, they have this nice consistent theme, like the color scheme and their personalities and everything. And splitting them up into different locations like that just kind of makes you, it's more immersive. You really feel like you're there because you're just surrounded by all these things that are thematically the same. Swift likes the idea, oh yeah, big Draconic area. Similar to M400 preparation and hunting, Sean said there. I don't know if it'd be quite like that. That feels more like treasure maps, kind of a side questy thing where you're traveling throughout the kingdom to achieve a whole bunch of different goals. Oh, sorry, Ben, if I haven't seen your comments. I'm not the quickest reader. Sometimes I look up at my notes here and I'm not looking at the chat. I tried to twist somebody's arm to get in here with me today because it goes a little smoother with 2 people. One person can keep an eye on the chat. I find it, I'm not a good multitasker. Kate loved the pepper plants of the Tribal Isles. I think I don't like the pepper plant aspect of the Tribal Isles. That's where it kind of breaks down for me. Definitely, like you're looking up the answer. Like, well, what seeds make what plant? And then I got to pick the plant. It's a little too intense for me. Hindsight, that could be toned down a little bit. Huge Archduke Draconic areas, a suggestion from Christopher. We are looking at the first Archduke area, and I think I've hinted at this at other Feedback Fridays. where that first Archduke area will involve every single power type in the game. Maybe not parental, we'll see. So there'll definitely be some draconic tie-in there. Yeah, Ben is concerned about Malak's Cove, where you get washed out, and it kind of makes you be a little bit more active. It's a little bit stressful. Yeah, I don't think we would do things like that so much anymore, where you're kind of getting kicked out to other locations, but more where you're traveling around, kind of like the Travel Isles. You're getting seashells from here, stones from here, vegetables from here, so that you can go forward and do something else with that loot. Christopher doesn't like the idea of parental in an Archduke area? That's it. Scrap everything. It's got to be 100% parental area for that Archduke location. Every power type now we're talking. Yep, Dennis, hopefully we can pull this off. I feel like we got to get the ball rolling on it because it's a quite ambitious project that Jacob and Lauren have been looking into the first Archduke area. But it's an ambitious one, so we're trying to get organized so we can get started on it. All right, so I have another feedback question here, and I didn't prepare a nice little slide there, but I can just ask, what do you think of this new broadcasting format, minus a couple little hiccups that perhaps I had while I'm getting used to the learning curve here? But what do you think of this new layout? Does this work a little bit better? Is it an improvement? Would you like to see us return to the old way that we were doing it? Do you like seeing the chat on the screen? Like I said, I thought that would be useful if you're watching it recorded. You can kind of see what hunters are saying in the chat, and hopefully what I'm saying has a little bit more context. I always try to say, hey, a question from the chat, so you know I'm not just speaking to myself here if you watch this recorded. Great, love it, like it. The font could be a little darker. Yeah, I think I have to kind of play around with that a little bit. Maybe I'll change the background, put more of a... Here, where's my... Maybe I'll put more of a... Now that I know what I'm doing, I can get one of the artists to maybe make a nicer backdrop and put a little like square box around the chat so it has a higher contrast. Perhaps do a double stream Twitch and YouTube. I don't know if there's anything to accommodate that so you can stream to two platforms simultaneously. I don't know. I know a lot of people stream on Twitch and then upload their video to YouTube afterwards. We've been using, this is going to sound weird, but we've been streaming for, I guess, 6 or 7 years. I don't know, before even Twitch. I think it was Justin TV when we started, and we started with Ustream a long time ago as well. But it was, it's kind of all new to us at the time. And I haven't even watched anyone else stream. I think on the weekend I watched somebody else stream. I was like, well, look at all the cool stuff you can do now with this technology. Use 2 computers. Okay, there you go. That was the programmer in me thinking, well, how would you do that? What software do you need? It's like, just use 2 computers. Yeah, but we originally used Twitch, and we were having problems where it was disconnecting on us a lot. And so we switched to YouTube Gaming, and it seemed to work a lot better. And it was probably a few weeks into using YouTube Gaming that we realized what was wrong with Twitch was that we were using a super old Justin TV server that probably just, that setting never got changed. We were streaming to a server in Norway, so we're going from Toronto, Canada, over to Norway, and then out back to wherever else you need to go in the world. So that was probably introducing some latency into the stream, I would guess. So I think that was probably our problem, but at that point we had switched over to YouTube Gaming, so we're kind of set up. I guess this is where we'll stay for now. I guess Banana's saying, I guess the connection twitches off for Twitch. Well, other people don't seem to have a problem, so I'm sure it was something on our end, and it was probably just archaic because we had been using it for so long before Twitch even existed. All right, which brings us to the trivia question, I think. Yes, trivia question. Trivia question. And you can read it right there over to the side here. And hopefully, did I write down the answer? Hopefully I have the answer right, actually. I meant to double check this morning. And this, what is the fewest hunts needed to make it to dawn in Fort Rocks? What's the fastest you can do it? Whole lot of answers. 65 is correct. Where did that go? Ryan. Was Ryan the first person to say 65? Well, 65. No, I don't think so. Wait, maybe. Yes, I think Ryan was first. With 65 is the correct answer. And that is because you can use power mana to go through the night twice as fast. So where is the answer now? If you can remember previous streams where I would open up text edit and I'd write down the reward link, take a screenshot of it, and then put the screenshot of the link on the window. Look at this. Now I no longer need to do such low-tech things. I can just make it appear below me. What? Technology? So hopefully I'm right. I think the answer is 65. And I'm sure somebody will correct me if the answer is not 65. But I believe the answer is 65. So if you go to the link below, you can claim a reward. I like that. You didn't specify the starting point, so what if you're on the last hunt of dawn? Well, all right, fair enough. I think common sense maybe would. Well, we'll have to prevail on that. I didn't click this link either. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Could this be the time my fear? Site can't be reached. Because that's not a link at all. Well, all right, let's try this again. Dee-dee-doo. See you later. Bye, link. All right, let's try this again, shall we? Let's try this again. What am I doing? All right, MouseHunt. I think I made a typo in that link, and so it is lost to the ages. I will have to kindly ask Larry to produce a fresh new link. Be the freshest link. Fail. I know, hang my head in shame. Epic fail. What is the date today? The 24th. I feel like I should know that. So this will be created on the 24th. Good to go. Sure, yeah, 191. I'll just reread this here. There's some scary things in the drop-down box of like, what item do you want Larry to hand out? And there's some scary items in there. Should probably remove them. I think we hard-coded some out, like sandblasted metal, just not in the box, because it was a drop-down of almost every item in the game, which is a scary drop-down box to have. It's just begging for a slip of the mouse. All right, create a link. Will Larry ever get an assistant? I don't know. He certainly has enough gold. I mean, if you look at his profile, he's always seems to be just right full of gold. All right, new link works. Let's figure out how to get that on the screen. Here we go. Boom. Whoa, what just happened? Oh, I'm scared. Oh, what is happening? Well, hopefully this works. We'll see. Is that right? Just confused. Just don't know what's happening. All right, new reward link. That should work. Dawn Dust. Sorry, Brian, it's not Dawn Dust. 100 Shattering Charms, 100 Ultimate Charms. No, it's neither of those. That sounds scary. We might lose some sleep over handing those out. Link in the chat, please. Oh, all right. I guess I can do that. Yeah. Don't you want to do a little bit of work for free stuff? Just typing in some. It's a bunch of gibberish, though. It's kind of hard to type in. You're like, well, is that an L or a 1? I don't know. Is that a J or an I? Sorry, Helvetica. Helvetica. I think that's the font. Make Warmonger more generous. He's a warmonger. That's it. He's a monger. He's not a nice dude. He protects that loot very well. Sorry, Dennis, beat you to it, but thank you for posting the link in the chat. And thank you, Ben, as well, for posting the link. I think only moderators can post URLs. Perhaps that's part of an issue as well. Here, I was assuming that. Oh, Dennis made a typo. Well, Dennis, I thanked you prematurely, I guess. Make Minnow more generous. All right, if there's any minnows in the game, maybe in the Sunken City, you can try to make them more generous. Could you do a shout out for the MH Discord server? I guess I just did. There's MouseHunt Discord that community put together. So if you're into Discord and looking to chat with other hunters, if you Google MouseHunt Discord, I think a Reddit thread will probably be right at the top of those Google results, and you can check that out. But it is run by the community. I've popped in and said hello a few times. I think Giorgio and Michelle have done the same as well. It's pretty neat. Trap loots in minnow eggs. I think they're in there. I think there's a chance. It's pretty, or it's fairly rare. There's a chance. Thanks, Larry. There, finally, Larry gets a thanks for all his hard work handing out gifts. Make croissant mouse more generous. This is just make mice more generous. Absolutely. The Captain Croissant is the most epic of all mice in the game. It deserves appropriately epic loot. Monger egg. Maybe. I know on the forums I noticed a thread, a lot of feedback about having more eggs in old locations. Do you like that idea of adding more eggs to existing locations? Make this a little higher, maybe. Or give it more height. Cool. We love eggs. Yes, more eggs. More eggs. Twisted carbide egg. Absolutely. All right, I'll pass that along to the artists. We kind of usually, Jacob and Lauren have free reign. Just draw whatever eggs you think will be cute and inspire you. So I'll pass on. Feel free to look at some of the older areas as well. Every mouse should have an egg. 700 eggs coming up. Jacob, Lauren, start drawing now. There's a real egg. Ascended Elder egg. Any new uses for RRSPG? Not at the moment, but it is something that maybe we'd like to add another use for it at some point. Kind of sounds like a neat idea. Really, really shiny piece of egg. Eggs Benedict. Eggs Benedict is delicious. Maybe we should have some Eggs Benedict in the game. That does sound good. Not good for the waistline, though. It's a lot of butter. Chicken eggs. Oh, they gotta be mouse eggs. Everyone knows mice lay eggs, but only in the spring. 1 egg for each Clawshot City gang boss. Please, Brian. I think Brian might like the law areas. I get that impression. What does everyone else think? Excellent. Dev eggs. I don't know about dev eggs. 2 fourth wall breaking. Keep it within the realm of MouseHunt. Defo need another use for shiny. I tend to agree with you, and if everyone else is in agreement, I kind of want to add more uses for shiny precious gold. We'll see. Move me around here. I just like playing with the software maybe too much. I don't know. Woo! 100,000 SB. Leprechaun egg. Yeah, Michelle, would you regret your earlier suggestion of every mouse should have an egg if we added a leprechaun egg? I think I would regret that suggestion at that point. The new law trap isn't the judge trap, is it? No, it will not be the judge trap, I believe. Jacob drew that on a Feedback Friday art edition, but it won't be that trap. I think the next law area that we do will add that as a trap that you can purchase probably from the shop to upgrade your law equipment. However, the law trap that you will earn in Heart of the Meteor will remain as the best law trap for a little while anyway. So even after the next law area comes out, I don't think there'll be a trap better than the one we're adding to the Heart of the Meteor. That said, we also don't really have any plan for the next law area, or at least nothing concrete, so that could change. Michelle, I would have to go die in a corner. All right, well, we'll avoid. We don't want that to happen. We will avoid the leprechaun egg. How do you like the new software? I've enjoyed it so far. Seems like positive feedback in the chat as well. I particularly like, and you know, if you're watching this recorded, maybe poke your head into the tavern section of the forums. I usually post a summary there that's open for a week after the stream, and you let me know what you thought. If this is nice, being able to see the chat. If you're watching it recorded, you can it's a little more interactive. I have more context. I don't have to read everything from the chat aloud as much. Add the gang boss mouse someday, please. We'll see. Yeah, it was supposed to be on the train, and it never got there. I was told. I don't think I was. I was working on the mobile app when the train was released, so I wasn't too involved in the Varmint Valley, those Varmint Valley areas. So I don't quite remember what the plan was originally for that, but I think it was supposed to be a train mouse, and it just didn't quite make it there. Can you make the toxic spill a permanent place? That is the plan at some point. We just haven't been able to find the time to prioritize that. We do want to make sure we have new areas coming in the summer, and we're a small team, and we want to make sure that we have some new areas for the summer as well. Heart of the Meteor Mouse is arcane, right? I believe so. I think it has the same power type weaknesses as the Dawn Mice, because after you finish it, your cheese, I think your cheese is disarmed, so I don't think there's the problem of you get kicked back into Dawn and then you keep hunting, but I believe it's an arcane mouse. Do you have the Temporal Turbine, Dave? You need a comma in there, right? It's like, do you have the Temporal Turbine, Dave? Or do you have the Temporal Turbine, Dave? Like I am a Temporal Turbine? But anyway, yes, I do. I looted 2 plates from the Minotaur. I guess I have some DLU. I think I looted everything but my shiny precious gold. I think I bought 4 pieces of shiny precious gold so I could build the Minotaur equipment. Tell us about the Archduke area. Not too much to share yet. It's much too soon, and like I said, it's an ambitious project, so I don't really want to go into too much detail because if it doesn't pan out, that might be disappointing. But the plan is for it to incorporate all the power types in the game and lots of different little bits to explore. You'll kind of, like the Sunken City, you're going to be going to different destinations, and that will determine your power type. And then when you're done at that spot, you can kind of pick up and move to another one, and it's a different power type. Any details for the Draconic area? Like I said, we're looking at making it a bit more of a sprawling location where you have to visit a few different spots in a region. But we welcome suggestions on the forums as well. I know I read that ideas and suggestions forum, especially just to get inspiration. But not too much to share. Right now, our working title is Mousu Pichu, but I don't quite know what it'll end up being called when it gets released, but sometimes we just need a name to call it. So when we're having conversations, we have something to call it, I guess, other than Draconic area. I think we're planning to put it after the Labyrinth, so it will come in the storyline after the Labyrinth, and that will lead to the Archduke area. So it's going to kind of tie the Labyrinth and the Archduke area are going to get tied together with this Draconic release. And also get you all set so that you have a Draconic trap, because Draconic will likely play a role in that Archduke area as well. Is it a new region? I don't know. I don't know yet either. If it gets tied in with the Labyrinth storyline, depending on how tight it gets tied in, it might be in Hollow Heights. Something that sounds more dragony. If the Archduke area will include all power types, will there be a Baron Archduke for law? It will probably incorporate law, but I don't think it'll add a new law trap, but that's detail we've yet to work out. All power types, I don't have a parental. I don't think it'll include parental. I could see if we have time where we would add a little Easter egg kind of side quest parental thing, and probably then you'd be able to get a parental trap. That said, we might just maybe switch the nanny bot to physical and say, okay, parental, your time is done. So we'll see. Just curious, are there any plans to attract new players to the game, like through advertisements, etc.? Also, is the running the game sustainable so far? Well, it does keep up and running. We have a team of 6, 7, 8 people that I think are pretty well full-time on the game. We do run advertisement campaigns as well. Every once in a while, too, we kind of return to the intro of the game. We kind of look at how far hunters are going through there. We take little snapshots to see where people are quitting in the game, and we kind of return to that to spend a little energy. That's it. Because we are a bit of a small team, it's hard to find the resources and the time to spend on the intro, because it is important as well to keep adding new areas and keep the existing player base entertained and with new challenges to come out constantly. But we strive for a balance when it comes to those two things. So we're doing our best, but things are going all right as of the time being anyway. The Draconic area could be a new continent. Yeah, maybe. That's kind of a neat idea. Why make Calamity Carl's Cozy Cruise sunk? Well, it served its time, I think. It was a pretty old event. I think the Haunted Territories have maybe also served its time, but we repeated that event quite a few times. like I said, it goes back to being a small team. The events, they come and they go and they're fun, but we also want to make sure we have time to add more areas to the game. There's a tremendous number of Archduke, Archduchess hunters in the game. There's no Archduke area, and that's kind of silly if you ask me. So, but again, we're just kind of not behind, but we gotta, Grand Duke area has to come out, and then the Archduke area and stuff. So we have to kind of flesh out all these titles. So we want to maybe spend a little more time working on permanent areas than events. So we tone down some of the events. How can I join the MouseHunt developer team? Well, I mean, we're always interviewing. I don't know if we're hiring right this second, but you can go to hitgrab.com, and we have a careers section there if you're in the Toronto area. But, when we get resumes, we look them over. 24 mil gold ready for Ronza. That's a nice little stash. Are there any plans on adding more human characters? I don't know. I bet you Jacob and Lauren would welcome drawing something other than mice, just different proportions, different facial expressions. You're not ready for Ronza. I guess 24 mil gold wasn't enough. The chat is frozen on screen. Oh dear. Well, the best laid plans. Best laid plans. You're right. Look at that. Look at that. Get out of there. Well, maybe that's a good time to wrap things up anyway. We'll wrap things up. 50 minutes. Well, thank you for joining me for the last 50 minutes, Hunters. That's a lengthy Feedback Friday, and probably has something to do with that. I'm amused by the new software that I'm using as well. So, hey, got to give it a good test run, see what it can do. Thanks for your patience working out a few, maybe of the kinks and the flaws here as I get used to this, like the chat freezing or the chat being pointed at the wrong chat room. We'll hopefully, in the weeks to come, we'll smooth that out. And it'll be much easier to share and get feedback during these streams. There are currently no available positions. Why? Hit grab. Well, you can still get in touch with us if you want, but we're a little bit of a full house at the moment. Can you show us any pictures of the Bristle Woods Rift mice soon? Question in the chat. None are drawn yet, but Jacob is working on concept art, and his concept art is due today, actually. So I'm kind of excited next week. We'll probably all look it over and see sort of the art direction that he wants to set for that. And then he and Lauren will probably get going on the mice in the not-too-distant future. Ryan says this year is shaping up to be an exciting one for MouseHunt. I agree. Hopefully we get all accomplished. We have some ambitious goals, but we're trying our best to get everything accomplished. This year is getting really epic. I hope so. I hope we can pull everything off. It's good to see the hunters are excited and like some of the plans we have. And a lot of it came from inspiration and suggestions from Feedback Friday, the forums, the Facebook page. That's how we decided to shift gears a little bit and let's work on a draconic area because a lot of hunters were interested in that. So keep the feedback and the suggestions coming. All right. Well, I will say goodbye. Thank you again for joining me, everybody. Happy hunting. Have a good weekend.
Yeah. Okay.
Traveled to this place from where I'd been. You're a scrawny little mouse taking over this old house. Just